So. Want to wait for Scott or?
No, he said he was going to be late, so.
Okay.
Well, is IT ready over there? Okay. Well, it's now 11 o'clock. I will call this meeting to order. There's my gavel. I guess we're ready for roll call.
Here. Councilmember Riggs.
Here.
Here.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Thrilled to be here.
Vice Mayor Smith.
Here.
Mayor Pittman.
Here. Thank you. Ron, while you're up, would you lead us in the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, sir. All right. Next item is adoption of the agenda.
I move that we adopt the agenda.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Do we need roll call? So I just call for, all those in favor of that, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Thank you all. Next item, goals and priorities workshop. Mr. Ring, I'll let you take it.
Well, thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members. I did have some notes written down, but we had a little computer issue this morning. Our network crashed, so we couldn't print. So I took a picture of a few things I wanted to touch on really quickly this morning. But hopefully today, the goal of today's meeting is to get some big picture priorities from the council for fiscal year 23-24. As I think you're aware, and I know Ruth has mentioned this, the budget process has started. Information has been sent out to staff for staffing requests, as well as capital purchases requests for the next fiscal year. So I think going through this process today will be very helpful to help staff identify what those additional priorities are. I'm going to kick off discussion today. Ask all the department heads and department leaders to come forward and talk about some of the challenges they've had this current fiscal year and some successes, as well as what they see as opportunities going forward for fiscal year 23-24. As you'll see, as you probably have already seen, there's about 20 different departments / divisions. So there's about 50 slides to get through. So what I'm hoping for is everyone will do the presentation. But if you can hold your questions at the end, that way I've allotted about an hour and 10 minutes for this portion of the program. So if we can get through that, then go through some questions after that, that would be very helpful. Again, I think the goal here is, while some of these items are some of the very specific successes or challenges here, I think once we get beyond that, we want to talk about big picture goals, big picture priorities, kind of 30,000 foot level going forward for next fiscal year. Obviously, once we get that information, that'll be very helpful as we develop the budget for going forward. Couple things. When this is all said and done today, if we could walk away with 3 or 4 areas of focus, I think that would be fantastic. Obviously, we have a couple exercises we'll do to try to get there. A note of caution, I think what I've heard in my first few weeks here is the Measure U is absolutely a tremendous resource that the city now has available to it, right? But I think at the same time, I think we need to be cautious and careful because it's already. No, that's okay. Just in the first few weeks, I know there are, we have additional unfunded liability from pensions, we have infrastructure needs, we have road needs, infrastructure. We're in the process of completing a compensation study. And obviously, we still need to have a healthy reserve, obviously, to weather the storms too. So those are 3 or 4 things that are right off the top of my head that I think any successful public entity has to keep in mind as we go forward. Then you throw on top of whatever priorities we come up today, and we just have to be, I'm very optimistic, but I also want to be cautious with regards to goals and priorities. But certainly, we want to make sure they're attainable. So with that, as you see, there's a little agenda here. The first hour and 10 minutes or so, again, will be department heads about the goals, successes, challenges from this year and going forward for priorities. And then from there, I know Jackie's going to lead us in a few brainstorming exercises where we get some ideas up on the board around the room. But before we do that, we'll break for lunch and then we'll have this further discussion. So any questions at all about the process?
Oh, thank you.
So anything that's not sustainable and attainable is on our bucket list?
You know, I think we can put anything you want up there, but when we get to the end, when we're truly trying to focus on what 2 or 3 or maybe 4 things are priorities, I think in a perfect world, they're attainable. And obviously, and again, I'm thinking big picture. I mean, if we don't want, once we have some themes that we're looking for, then staff can go forward and develop the budget. And in the budget process, then we can get more, I think, nuanced with some specifics to how to achieve those big picture themes.
Thank you.
All right. Ruth's up first.
Good morning. Thank you for coming to our budget workshop. So we'll take a look first at the finance department.
Oh, hey, Ruth, real quick, I'm sorry. In front of you too, there's a couple handouts. One is if you want to take notes on one, there's 3 per sheet. We realize this is kind of far away, so this has in larger print for those of us who need larger print.
So all the slides are organized the same way with the 3 things, the successes, the challenges, and opportunities. I want to start with the finance department. So if anybody knows me, knows that we've been implementing software for quite a while now. Our end goal is in sight though. We're hoping to go live July 1st and be done with it, but I'm spending 2 full days a week with software implementation and giving up a lot of time. Can't wait to be done with that. We're implementing new software. UKG is our payroll software. It will also go live July 1st. It's been a bumpy road, but I think we're really close to going live with that. And Tyler Technologies financial software is replacing our current system of Central Square. And I'm keeping a tally of pros and cons. I have probably 6 or 7 pros and 1 con. So I think it's going to be a really good move for us. Can't wait for that to go live. ClearGov is going to be replacing our OpenGov, our transparency portal online. We're also going to be using it for budgeting. And maybe we have a light version of capital projects, but we'll have to maybe develop. So as far as successes, we successfully finished the master fee schedule just recently. That hadn't been done in a very long time. So that was a major accomplishment. And the goal with that is to have that come back to you annually for review. We do the budget every year, the annual financial report. We just did the mid-year report in the last council meeting. We help with the claim to VCAG, and there's quite a few state controller reports we're responsible to report to. Investment accounts was another one. So I oversee an office of 5 staff, and it's pretty much finance department in a nutshell. Our challenge is keeping the department fully staffed. We had some really long-time employees in there, and recently we had a retirement. It's been really hard to replace her. So that's a big challenge right now, especially while we're implementing new software. Said that several times, it's on here too. So another big challenge lately has been monitoring the purchases and status of various projects, because when I first started here, we were struggling with budget deficits and there just wasn't enough money to do this stuff. So now that there's funding, it's been some growing pains to try to figure out how to keep track of all that. So we're very busy with all the new things going on. We have a big challenge with sewer fee collecting right now, working really close with our city attorney, Scott Huber, and trying to might see a new policy or maybe even an ordinance coming down the pike soon. And then just keeping up with policies and procedures in general, because as we're changing software, we're changing all of our procedures and looking for efficiencies. So that would be one of our opportunities, is looking for new efficiencies and refining our policies and retaining our staff. A little picture of our recent retirement. and everybody getting together for a lunch for her. So the next department is Human Resource Department. The successes are she's recruited and onboarded 27 positions in the last year. And that is quite a lot. I know we still have a lot of vacancies, but that is a lot. And she's maintaining the training and workers' compensation requirements. And she passed a very stringent CHP audit for the Department of Transportation for our Class A drivers. Challenges in the Human Resource Department. Filling critical positions. So I think if you've been to any of our meetings, you know that we have a lot of vacancies. We have a lot of challenges filling positions, but we're just working as hard as we can, plugging away at them. Retention of good employees is hard. I think you've also heard that the pay has been very competitive in other jurisdictions. So right now we're undergoing a comp study. So getting the results of that and implementing that is going to be a lot of work. So other things that she does is OSHA compliance, insurance renewals, and workers' comp. And she's been having a hard time with new employee onboarding, finding someplace to get the physicals and drug screening. So she's working with other local jurisdictions to try to get someplace in Oroville, but right now it might be Gridley and Chicopee. Opportunities for the Human Resource Department is also capitalizing on the new software. So online employee orientation and online recruitment are slated to happen, which will really streamline things and make it less of a paper-intensive process. She also has been allocated a human resource staff, has not been filled, but we've had it in the last two budgets. And as I mentioned, we're completing a citywide compensation study and creating a safety training. So the next one is the IT department. And some successes that they've had is through the police department remodel. That was huge. They had to change the existing area and move it to another area, and it was a big job. And so there was a consolidation of all the city IT resources into the new server room. They completed a network rewire for the public safety building. They upgraded the access control system for public safety. The dispatch radio system was upgraded, and 2 complete moves of all dispatch systems were conducted in the last year. Some other successes are I'm not sure if everybody knows this, but we also support the city of Gridley IT services. So it just happened that they had a retirement in their IT department, and so we are able to offer our IT services over there, and we bill them for half of a position every year. And I know that they spend a little time over there, it's not too bad. Some of the challenges in the IT department are our network connectivity, because everybody who got to work today at City Hall didn't have internet. And so I know that IT's been working really hard on that problem. And also another challenge is access control system at the airport. It's old and it's very hard to program, so upgrading that's going to be a challenge. And security cameras have become a challenge. So I asked Robert what was the challenge on that, and he said it was the financing of it and the placement of it and purchasing issues. Other opportunities in the IT department are to fix the connectivity issues. And it says that these will be coming to you in the near future. So replacing the existing point-to-point connection between City Hall and the police department, the LTE network to connect to city museums, that will be a big win when that goes in place, and upgrading the security cameras at each city facility. Another challenge will be City Hall, and that we're having some network connectivity issues. and we appreciate addressing those. And then enhancing wireless connection between City Hall and the Public Safety Building, and the network connectivity to the city museums. And the last department is the City Clerk's Department. So the successes in the City Clerk's Department has been management of the 2002 election process, meeting and agenda management for over 60 meetings, management of the City Hall scanning project, over 900 boxes were scanned. Challenges are consistent annual increase in the number and depth of public records requests. All records requests go through the city clerk. And overall increase in daily activity of the department. Opportunities in the city clerk's department are to work with IT to expedite the transfer of records from Laserfish, hire a full-time administrative assistant to improve quality of service and output to the department, from the department, review and update of internal processes and the website to improve services to staff and to the public. That's all for me. And we will be hearing from the next department head, business assistant and housing development.
Thank you, Ruth.
So for business assistance and housing, we've had a lot of success with our grant applications and funding. Last year, we received over 24 million in grant funding, but since 2018, we've applied for more than 31 million and received over 30 million awarded. We are pending currently 1.4 for our CDBG PI only application, which is the Oroville Convention Center improvement, which is not going to be an issue. We're just waiting to submit our sam.gov, which is holding up the whole process, but it's going to happen. We've also processed over $7 million in payoffs through our department in the past 5 years. And what those do is they can be reloaned for additional loans and also for capital purchases like fire engines, capital projects like the convention center or the Chinese temple. So a lot of different revolving and non-revolving projects. We funded more than 900 homeownership new loans this year. And those are all being administered through home, CDBG, various CDBG, the disaster, the COVID, PLHA, encampment resolution funding. We're also administering other funds, which are the CDBG revolving loan fund, home revolving loan fund, Cal Home, city, USDA, and the housing program fund. So there's a lot of money that's going through our department and it's being monitored and reissued over and over again. We're currently funding 3 public services, and they are very successful in providing services to our community. The Axiom has assisted since January 171 youth. They are working out with character competency. They're helping them with their resumes, applications, job interviews. They're doing their ServSafe food handling certifications, vocational job training, community service. The YMCA has funded over 187 youth, and that's through their summer break, winter breaks, spring breaks, and all of the other camps that they provide. Catalyst Domestic Violence has assisted 113 beneficiaries. Unfortunately, we are very blessed to have this program because it helps the beneficiaries with crisis intervention, helping them get temporary restraining orders, assist them in court accompaniments, therapy, and shelters for them and their children. This is a couple pictures of the YMCA's program. Oh, well, that's the YMCA, and then there's also the Axiom. You might have already skipped through that. I'm not doing this, thank you. For keeping up with me. So there's a lot of challenges in our department. One of the main ones is funding limitations through the grant program. As you know, our department is grant funded, but the grant the part that's set aside for general administration hasn't really changed over the years. It's been pretty stagnant. But as you know, the salaries and wages and benefits all increase, so it's getting harder and harder to provide salaries for staff and keep up. We're currently doing it, but it's getting harder. Also, funding application and award dates aren't aligning up with other sources for subsidy layering. So basically, when we want to make a project feasible, we have to use a lot of different funding sources. A good example is the Lincoln Street project. It's requiring not only tax credits, but it's also requiring the disaster MHP funding, and then also we're working to try to get PLHA funding, or there's a lot of moving parts that go into it, and they aren't aligning, and it's something that I know that a lot of the different jurisdictions are really trying to communicate up and say you need to make these so they're all becoming doable and due, applying for, awarded at the same time. The home program suspension from HUD. So in July of 2022, we received notification from the home program that we were no longer able to expend any funds, not just us, all the jurisdictions in California, because HCD had some policies were out of date. And so they are in the process of updating them through HUD. Until they get the release from HUD, we are unable to expend any funds on salaries or funding loans. So that's been a challenge for us. Grant funding priorities and award notifications and contract executions taking a long time. So by the time we submit our application, which we submitted our last one in August of 2022, we still haven't received award notification. I've received an unofficial but not an official award notification. So that's 7 months in. And then once we receive notification, then it's several months before we get an executed contract. But they start the clock on our grant at the award notification. So that is an issue that we're trying to communicate to HCD that's not very workable for us. Program requirements are becoming more complicated. State housing laws are numerous and complicated. Our current loan portfolio system, which is GMS, it's where we track all of our loans and payoffs and subordinations, and late payments, everything that we do is inadequate and it's really difficult to use. So that's something I kind of want to look into, maybe finding a new option. And then also we are in need of a system to track agreements, insurances, and other things that have expiration dates. Some opportunities, again, the new financial software I think is going to give us some benefits, possibly with the expired agreements and insurances, but most definitely in data collection and reporting. Our current system makes it very challenging to do our annual reporting and our quarterly reporting. There's several components that don't tie together, so I'm consistently trying to piece together information to hopefully get a correct reporting to HCD. We need updates to our website, current programs and projects, and hopefully it'll give more visibility to the community and maybe create more partnerships. And then also, something that comes up occasionally is our economic development loan program. We do have a program, but it has no funding in it currently, and we do not have an employee there. With that being said, at this point, we don't have grant funding to support an employee, so we would definitely need to apply for grant funding and then be able to sustain staffing.
Thanks, everybody. I'm here to present on the Community Development Department and its divisions. First off, we have our building division. Our successes this year have been hiring a full-time building official. She's been incredibly knowledgeable and been making some successful changes in the building division. And she's also begun the transition of accepting electronic plans and documents, and this is important in advance of our integration of the Tyler software, the InterGov software, which is our online permitting software, which will be deploying this fall. And then we've revised some internal processes for greater efficiency within the department, which drew outwards towards the public. Challenges for the building division have been new community development software. It's been an asset and difficult at times. It's very time consuming, as Ruth was saying. Coordinating and managing the plan review process between all city departments has also been a challenge because previously everything was paper documents. So trying to route that between all the departments and get responses back in an adequate amount of time has been a little difficult. So implementing the electronic plan software or submittals has been very important. One of the challenges was that there's no full-time city building inspector. We currently use all consultants. We'd like to change that in the future, and that will be an opportunity. And keeping the public up to date on the general building department and new code requirements has been a bit of a challenge. As you know, we adopted the 2022 building code this year, but there's been a lot of changes with that, and so we're working on ways to inform the construction community on those new requirements. Opportunities for the building division are cleanup of current policies and practices and implementing those, hiring that full-time building inspector, as I mentioned, and then providing additional training for our counter tech staff. We currently have our building permit tech going through additional training to be certified as well, or additional certifications. We're also looking for alternative GIS systems management. We have one contract GIS technician, but we're looking for maybe even a partnership with the county so it's consistent across agencies. We're looking to update current public handouts to be a little more user-friendly to the public. And then keeping the website updated. For planning, we've had many successes in the last 4 years. It's been a very busy department, as building has. One of those successes is the Oro Dam and Feather River corridor has begun to build out, which that's our primary marketing corridor for Oroville. So that's been a huge success, and there's more development looking in those available parcels. The Gateway project is no longer a vacant land, which is also a wonderful success. We're working closely with that developer to keep that project moving forward. The housing element has recently been approved by HCD. We have built 300 to 400 new affordable apartments recently, and over multiple years, it's been 700 plus with more to come. And we have our first market rate multifamily development in plan review right now, which is a wonderful success. The council has committed to the rebranding project for Oroville, which will help our image moving forward. And the LATA, or Local Agency Technical Assistance Funding, we were awarded $500,000 for the last mile broadband and deployment study. Challenges for planning have been recruitment for planning positions. We have 2 positions open currently. A continuous strong influx of investment, but yet we don't have the capacity to keep up with those projects coming in. So, and we currently have 1 full-time planner and 2 consulting planners for all these projects. And the software, we've all focused on software today. A soft interest among the housing developers, creating a deficiency in our single-family housing market, and that's also in part due to the cost of materials, the anxiety over the slowdown, inflation. There's a number of things that play into that. Opportunities for our planning division are South Oroville revitalization, more market rate housing in the areas where we had prior subdivision maps that have gone dormant during that 2007 downfall. Biomass recruitment to our industrial area. We still have a significant amount of increase for this. Concentrated outreach and promotion for a new brand once that is completely defined and ready to be deployed. Complete pre-development of the gateway for a creative and attractive entry to our downtown core. And then the deployment of that new InterGov software with the outward-facing portal. That will make it a smoother process for developers and applicants. For engineering, our successes have been getting our capital projects advertised and back on track for 2023. Getting two engineering firms in sync with our staff has been very important and successful. And this has allowed staff to focus more on the day-to-day, knowing that we've put some of those larger projects, capital projects, in the hands of those contract engineers. Purchase of the engineering design software so that we can do more smaller projects in-house and not have to rely on those contracting or contracted engineering firms. And it allows us to take a few of those projects, put them together, and tackle more than one in a day. Challenges for engineering in our other departments has been recruitment for open positions. And demand for our services continues to outpace our capacity. Opportunities for engineering are reinstating the process of coordinating with utilities and other agency partners in advance of our capital projects. So we're working on putting together our 5-year capital improvement plan for our roadway projects, and that will get deployed to all the utilities and agencies so that they can tackle any utility repairs and improvements that they need to make in advance of ours. So we're only cutting into pavement once, hopefully. And opportunities do exist to expand partnerships with consulting engineers. As our working relationships begin to mature with those engineering firms, we can continue to grow significantly in those areas. For facilities, we have been able to tackle some much needed improvements to our facilities. So the public safety facility has recently undergone its large successful remodel. There's 2 minor areas that still need to be addressed or in progress. The City Hall roof replacement and facade repairs are in progress. The Centennial Cultural Center re-roof and exterior painting will commence in April, and the Oroville Convention Center is underway in plan review. Challenges have been weather conditions and aging infrastructure, which have added to the work. Demand for work continues to outpace the capacity there as well between staff and contractors. Opportunities for our facilities. There's an opportunity for the corporation yard improvements because those structures are so old. And the corporation yard has kind of just been added on to over the years to make it a more functional corporation yard for the staff. And the kayak kiosk to create more recreational opportunities along the Feather River for our community. For the sewer division, for successes, they've continued to see a decrease in the number of sanitary sewer overflows and backups, and that's due to consistent televising of those lines, addressing issues as they come up. Acquisition of the new Vector truck has been important for sewer issues and in the field excavation repairs, things like that. And employee retention has been a success for our sewer division. Challenges are recruitment of new staff, however, for that division. The age of our infrastructure, much of our sewer pipes are older than 75 years, and so the potential for failure is looming. Computer and IT issues with maps and in the corporation yard are an issue. Slow internet is an issue. Equipment failures due to the age. And opportunities for our sewer division, we'll be looking into requesting slip lining projects. We've completed a few successful slip lining projects and have tried to make this an implementation path for us moving forward with other sewer projects. It's a smoother process. For our fleet division, the fleet maintenance staff has been successful in keeping the increased demand of equipment moving. The acquisition of new vehicles and equipment to mitigate the frequency of repairs and maintenance of our aging fleet, but this is also a challenge because with the newer vehicles comes newer technology. And then with that new technology, there's software that goes with it. There's troubleshooting tools that are expensive. Other challenges are keeping up with state and federal regulations as they change, due in part to the stricter environmental laws. Greenhouse gas emissions and a lot of some of our older fleet is starting to age out and becoming non-compliant. Opportunities are to consider adding additional staff to enhance the efficiency. For the electrician's unit, the success has been, we've had one electrician for a number of years, and he has been successful at keeping our traffic signals, streetlights, and herb lighting up and running. We recently lost that our electrician to another agency, and so we're currently recruiting for a new electrician. However, that previous electrician, he was instrumental in the work that took place at the public safety facility remodel as well. Challenges have been, it was a division of one employee, and that's not a, it's not a safe work environment to have one electrician around the high voltages of power that he works with. However, he is very cautious about his work ethic. Keeping up with failing equipment has been a challenge. Hiring new and experienced electrician to assist the previous electrician or the current electrician when we hire one. Replacing the current aerial lift truck, it is too aging. Opportunities for this division and a challenge is hiring that qualified electrician. So we've had the position flown, we've had a few interested parties, but nothing significant yet. For our streets division, successes have been employee retention and training. This also fosters institutional knowledge, which allows those street employees to be proactive on a regular basis. Completion of sidewalk grinding has taken place, and the progress made with the lifted sidewalk panel replacement program continues on. This is reducing our liability in this area. Purchase of the roadway striping machine, which we anticipate to receive here in April, and a preparation of a striping program. Challenges are training to keep up with improved equipment and approaches to work-related issues, and then unfilled positions at the tree lead worker position, and that's for actually trees that got put on the wrong slide. I apologize for that. But the construction inspector position. Opportunities here for our streets division are improved response times to the customer citizen inquiries. Our streets department, when we receive inquiries, we try to tackle them that day, if not the very next day. So when we receive pothole complaints, we try to address those as quickly as possible. Development of a 5-year roadway plan to help identify measurable targeted dates and better plan with partner agencies, as previously mentioned with engineering. And those departments are working very closely together so that they can address issues at a quicker pace as well. For our parks and trees division, the success also has been employee retention. We have published several RFPs and procured tree trimming contractors, which has also reduced our liability as far as dangerous tree situations. We were also successful in acquiring or being awarded a $4.5 million grant for the completion of Hewitt Park Phase 2. And that is to break ground this summer. Challenges are training and keeping up with improved equipment. Constant vandalism and repairs causing reactive work, preventing proactive work for our parks. Irrigation systems are vandalized regularly, and so that keeps our irrigation crew very busy. Opportunities for our parks and trees, again, are to improve response times and working and collaborating with other departments and divisions. The airport, successes have been, we secured an agreement with our fixed base operator, Genco Aviation, and so she's getting ready to open her operation here in the coming weeks, and it already is a great addition to the airport and the success and increased visitation from the aviation community. We've also recently completed the crack seal project for the runways 220, and then this will ensure the longevity of that runway until we get to our 2029 repaving project of those runways and taxiways. Challenges have been pavement maintenance in other areas of the airport. Funding implementation updates for the proposed airport capital improvement project. We have an engineering firm on contract, and they've been an integral part of keeping that capital improvement project plan updated and moving forward and assisting us with grant funding. For opportunities, expansion of the FBO services from Genco Aviation are on the horizon, looking at other ways to increase visitation to the airport. Lease to own a new Jet A full service fuel truck as an opportunity currently for. There are many pilots that are skipping Oroville and flying to Chico because they don't want to get out and fuel their own plane. They want somebody to fuel it for them. So looking at a full service Jet A fuel truck will be a huge enhancement to the airport. Two more. Recycling, we've seen a success with the adoption of the SB 1383 ordinance. It hasn't been an ordinance that we have happily wanted to take on and implement, but it was a requirement of the state. And we adopted the notice of intent to comply with that ordinance as well. We've been working very closely with the CalRecycle representatives in that area, and also the adoption of the franchise agreement with Recology. We've made substantial updates to this agreement so that it benefits both agencies. Challenges have also been the implementation of SB 1383. It's a heavy lift, it's an unfunded mandate, but we've been able to keep in line with the requirements of it. And gaining full buy-in from the businesses and the property owners for those SB 1383 requirements. Opportunities coming forward will be partnerships with Butte County, City of Chico, Biggs, Ridley, and Paradise for CalRecycle funding opportunities, the food waste collection program, and a landfill expansion potentially, and seeking funding for community grants to help ease the financial burden of SB 1383. Our museums have seen a huge success this year with the hiring of our museum curator. She has created social media pages for each museum, regular marketing, incorporated new events for the museums. This has increased attendance. We're stabilizing and rebuilding the Docents Association. We started to see that docent population dwindling due to aging out, and now we're starting to see that increase again. And that's due in part to the marketing of that docent association, but the connections that our curator has with the Chico State community. So we've been able to incorporate some museum studies students into our docent staff. Challenges have been docent support. Again, many of our docents are resistant to change, but we've been working through that. And limited resources between funds and labor for the museums. Opportunities for the museums are developing new programming, new docent and student interns from Chico State. We're trying to add more into the mix. New funding opportunities, seeking out grants for new displays, improvements in the museums, community partnerships, and creating updated and engaging educational resources. Another opportunity is partnering with our other agency partners for grant funding for educational programs at the museums.
Thank you, Don.
Yeah, good job.
Good morning, I'm Ronnie Belser, Director of Code Enforcement, City of Oroville. I'll talk to you about some of our successes. When we started this program, we had an office that was used as a closet, and a lot of stuff was stored in there. It was the hard work of my employees, City Works, and city staff, and to turn that office area into a functioning department. A lot of our success goes to our partners, our IT department, again, City Works, My city hall staff, public works, everybody that helped turn that office area into a learning center and a area to handle code enforcement issues. Some of our successes is building a training manual for our code enforcement team so they understand what's expected of them and how they are to respond to issues out in the field and in the office. A procedure manual that was approved last year that gives in-depth direction on how to handle certain situations, cases, how to behave at work, how do we work with other partners in the community. We have a very good department. We talk about training. Training is huge for code enforcement. Our partnership with the California Association of Code Enforcement Officers and through training put on by myself and Butte College and the police department. My team has received 131 hours of training in the last year. 118 of those hours involve safety-related training elements. And that is a result of State Bill 296, which is now written in the law that says code enforcement officers are going to be trained on how to be safe. You look at some of the statistics for the department, 320 abandoned vehicles were abated last year. We opened up cases for 239 building code violations, 537 public nuisances, 146 stop work notices, and I really like that number because we would average about 10 to 12 a year. So there were a lot of individuals that were getting away with building without permits, doing construction without permits, and my team makes sure that when they find that, people are held accountable. Total cases open 1,763, closed 1,592. We have 167 active cases. When I provide reports in the past, before we were a standalone department, we'd have 1,800 active cases we didn't have follow through with because we didn't have a team. We didn't have the personnel needed, but with the training and the personnel there, we have a compliance rate of 96.3%. That is very important in the success of a department and educating the community. We talk about our challenges. Code enforcement ends up with a lot of the issues that the police can't solve, the city can't solve, and the unhoused is one of those challenges. Delivering resources on how to deliver resources, and we talk about what we have. We have paid for a part-time housing navigator. Getting people to accept the resources is our challenge. We go out and talk to the same individuals over and over again, offer them housing, offer them avenues to get off the street, get into rehab, and they choose to live on the street. And how we break that barrier, that is a challenge for code enforcement. It's also a challenge for our county and the state of California. In 2022 to 2023, the state of California spent $1.9 billion for the unhoused and try to solve the unhoused problem. And our numbers of unhoused just increase. So there needs to be changes on how to deliver these resources and how to get individuals that are unhoused to accept them. Avoiding violation of civil rights, and I strictly keep this under the unhoused situation. There's case law that continues to come out. We have to be very careful how we navigate and deal with individuals that are unhoused. We can't rush them off of certain properties. We can't move them out of public spaces. And again, it's a challenge. Collaborate with resources providers to give the best opportunity to make a difference. I think it's important that everybody get involved in the challenges with the unhoused, and that includes our county with our housing navigation, the Oroville Rescue Mission, the rehabilitation centers that are out there. I anticipate when I talk about some of my goals in moving on to the program is that building a team that we all go out together. These individuals that are unhoused, they get tired of hearing from code enforcement. It's important that they hear from other individuals that have experienced it, have been successfully able to get off of the street and into housing, get into jobs. Abandoned properties, how to navigate these in a timely manner. Right now, we board up 3 to 4 locations a day where individuals are just breaking their way in, fighting their way in. You know, it is very, very tough, especially with the weather. If there's anything that is not occupied, they'll find a way to get into it, and that's been a struggle. Expediting our receivership process, we have multiple locations in the city of Oroville, specifically in the south side area, that these are homes that eventually need to be returned or turned over to a receiver through the court processes. And how we make that happen faster, that's a challenge. Our warrants to secure locations, now we're moved away from, once we have a warrant and clean an area up and secure it, to staying in communication with the property owner, getting a hold harmless agreement signed. So signed so where we can just go onto the property and secure it as needed and just notify them. Again, challenges. Goals for a department, training is always key. You have to know the current laws, you have to know the current techniques that are out there and available, and to reinforce that what you're doing is the right thing. And that is very important for this department, and it's something that I push in every department that I've ever worked in. Increased public outreach. We are going to have booths available at all of the parades, festivals, get-togethers in the city, and as well at colleges to educate people what we do, understanding our process and what code enforcement is about. Public education, we go to a lot of neighborhood watch meetings to educate the neighborhood watch individuals that show up to the meetings to get the information out there. You know, what we're about, what we do, how to avoid violations, and to adhere to the municipal codes and sections that we have. Again, I'll talk about building an outreach team, you know, through the rescue mission and Jordan's Crossing, Father's House. There's a lot of us that have got together and have talked about how we're going to get a team together and start educating the unhoused about what's out there, what's available, and to take in some of the resources that are out there instead of just staying on our streets. Thank you.
Mayor and Council, I just want to answer a question for you first. Probably wonder why I brought my staff with me, because what Ron was saying is about training. This is a teachable moment, I think, and a learning opportunity for my staff to hear directly from you what your priorities are, so that when I come back and I'm asking for certain things to be done, they understand that I'm not just wildly spinning around in my chair dreaming things up, that this is what my council wants and this is what we need to move forward on. So I thought this was a good opportunity for them to do that. Kelly's here because she is essentially our PIO for our department, and she will be putting this onto our Facebook page and things like that to let the city citizens of our community understand that our council is working hard and trying to solve problems, and we're working collaboratively together. So that's why we're all here, and that's why I brought them with me today. I didn't bring them to, you know, keep you busy while I run out or anything. Some of our successes over the last year has been the complete remodel of the facility. I mean, you've been there, you've seen it. We have a new modern facility that actually looks modern and feels modern, and it's 90% complete. We have a couple of small areas that need to be finished. One of the biggest issues that we're running into at the department is we ran out of space. We don't have places for our employees to park. We have nowhere to grow. We are looking at potential solutions for that, but right now, we are just really cramped in. One of the other things that's finally happened for us that you've been working on for 2 years is our 14 police cars. They're here, but that also came with its own challenges. Our radio infrastructure is being upgraded. We're moving off of our own self-contained radio infrastructure onto a county-wide net, which will allow us, our radios will work anywhere in the county, anywhere we travel now. It's not going to be dependent upon our voter receivers or our repeaters or anything like that. It's going to be a county-wide net. We'll pay an annual fee to be a member to that, which is a very low fee. So we won't be looking at the huge capital expenditures we have every 3 to 5 years to replace our obsolete equipment. We have been very successful in our recruitment over the last year. I know this doesn't look like big numbers, but we've been able to recruit 5 officers, 7 MLEs. 2 recruits are currently in the academy, 4 dispatchers, 3 administrative staff, and a police chaplain. That's a significant increase for us, considering what the market is out there, the sentiment that currently exists where people don't want to get into law enforcement, and the challenges that our department faces because of, quite honestly, a reputation. But we have been able to successfully recruit these folks. One of the biggest things that the council and our department's been able to accomplish this year is your retention tools that you've put in place, that you've authorized and allow us to do. We haven't lost a police officer in the last year to go to another agency. They're staying, they're content here, they're happy. One officer did retire, but it was to retire, not to go to another agency. Typically, we lose them going to other agencies. Our challenges are what we have going on right now is our evidence storage area. We need to complete that part of our remodel. It's antiquated, outdated, and just needs to be updated to make sure that the property is more secure and more accounted for, and just we don't have any challenges in that area. We need exhaust hoods and things like that because of the prevalence of the fentanyl and other things that we regularly deal with. We just need to be able to safely handle it and package it. Our rear parking, that's our facility. Our grounds we're too small. We've outgrown it. Between the police and the fire, we're all struggling to find, just for our employees somewhere to park, let alone the other things that are required of us. We have to keep evidence vehicles. Those eat up some of the spaces that we have out in back. We can't put those in the corporation yard any longer because they get picked apart down there. So they have to be with us until such time as the court adjudicates the case and authorizes us to get rid of them. So that means quite a bit of parking. One of the solutions that we potentially thought about is talking with Les Schwab and either purchasing that large area that is directly to our east or leasing it long-term, but we haven't heard back on anything like that. It's a future discussion. The supply chain issues continue to be an issue for us at our department. It's delaying the upfitting of our vehicles. It's just like it's delaying the implementation of our new radio system. It's just a matter, the council's authorized it, told us to go ahead and do it. They've given us the money, we're ready to do it. Nobody just has the equipment. You just end up waiting on it and waiting and waiting. Our goals and opportunities for the next year, I believe that, what we'd like to work on for ourselves is we want to increase our closure rate of our cases. What that means is we want to be able to successfully investigate a case to a conclusion. What that conclusion may be, it could be prosecution, it could be closed unfounded, it could be, we don't know. I mean, it's an unidentified person that committed a crime, leaving the area undetected. We don't know, but we need to close those cases out. We need to thoroughly investigate all those. That's something that's measurable that we can report back to you, because you need to hear from us, what are we doing? I mean, that's just not just that we're doing something, but what are we doing? And is there improvement in that? We also have to work on our submission of our prosecutable cases that we submit to the DA's office, that we're requesting prosecution. We don't decide prosecution at the police department. We only request charges. The DA is the only charging authority in the county that can make those decisions. But he or she can't make those decisions if we don't give them a good, solid case that they can work with, one that makes sense, one that has the evidence that will support the charges. So we need to work on that, and I believe that's something that we can also report back to the council on an annual basis and let you know, if we are making improvement in that area or where we're at. It's a training issue. It's additional training. We have to increase all of our training for the department. That's one thing in our budget that we're going to need to increase every year, because as you're aware, we have had some issues that have led us to various areas that potentially could be expensive. I mean, and with those expensive issues on the forefront, a lot of the issues that led to that was lack of training. And we need to get into the habit of regularly training and training our officers on the importance of that training. We are currently doing that. It's on the last year. It has increased. We are regularly training, and we are training on the important things. The other goal we also have is increasing our foot patrols and our park patrols. As our MLE staffing increases, we would like to get more people on foot, and not only in our downtown core, but in all areas of our city, but also into our parks, walking those trails. The council's authorized an off-road vehicle. We want to get onto the actual walking trail. That's in production right now. We will be receiving that in the next few months. The foot patrols, deploying those, you know, what is kind of restricting us a little bit on that right now is filling the vacant MLE positions. We currently have 8, I believe, vacancies. We've interviewed just about on a weekly basis. We get individuals in. The last time I believe we had 4 in background, 1 made it through. The other 3 did not. I mean, so unfortunately, it does become difficult at times to get those folks, but we are finding them and training them. We also have to keep in mind that we only have so many people that can train. We can't just bring in, 16 people all at once because we don't have anything to do with them because we don't have anybody to train them. So it has to be done in a reasonable, methodical manner, which we are working on, and we're working toward that effort. Once they're there, we will expand the hours of the MLE program. They will be working from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. at night, and they will be doing not only the walking patrols, but the trail patrols and doing more increased things in our all areas of our city. One thing that we do need that is going to need to be purchased over the next year is we need video hubs for our vehicles. What this will prevent for you, or what this does for you, is this authorizes or allows all of the equipment in the vehicle to be looked at real time. What that means is that if I decide I need to see in unit 502, you enter into our system, you can bring up the cameras in there and you can see what's going on in 502. It creates a video record of everything that's occurred, not only in the front of the vehicle, but in the back of the vehicle, on the outside of the vehicle. If they activate the sirens and lights, the cameras come on. And it's uploaded immediately to a cloud. Nobody can alter it, change it, or anything else. It will be a great tool to not only, it's not about collecting evidence against our officers, it's about protecting them against and protecting our city against that. So this will be one of those things. It also takes out the ability of human error in this, or not turning the camera. It's no longer your option. It just happens, and that's one of the things that we have to keep in mind, though, is that we are obtrusively eavesdropping into someone's workplace, so they need to know that we're there. So there'll be some sort of system so that the officer will know that someone is watching. It's not going to be available to the public or anyone else other than the administration of the police department, so that if we need to gather data or intelligence about what's going on there, we can see into that vehicle. Now, we also need to upload or update our citywide camera system. One of the things that we will be bringing to you shortly is a license plate reader camera for the entire city. It's an LPR system. It's through Flock Security. It provides us an additional investigation tool. So if hypothetically my car got stolen here and it's driven down Ore Dam, as it goes through each intersection, those cameras will catch that vehicle going through there. We'll be able to search the system and track the car where it goes. I mean, so it will give us good evidence of what's going on. It may also capture pictures of the individuals driving the car. The system is going to come, we're going to recommend it come with gunshot triangulation, artificial intelligence software, which will, if it hears it, the cameras will actually triangulate where the shot came from, so we can respond to that. And this is a citywide system that we are going to be bringing and proposing, because I know one of the things that came up during the election was that individuals were requesting a higher level of security, more cameras, and more patrols.
Thank you.
Hi, good morning, Mr. Mayor, Council. My name is Isaac Reese, and for those of you that don't know me, I am your operational battalion commander for your fire department, Battalion 91. Who I am not is Chris Tins, and you probably figured that out. We get confused a lot, so I figured I'd just clear that up right here. Chris Tins, Chief Tins, he left this morning to go down to the Tulare area in preparation for mission tasking for anticipated floods. So he sent me a PowerPoint this morning, and we talked for roughly 60 seconds while he was on the way out the door. And so here I am to give the presentation. So we'll just go ahead and get started. I kind of see what's happening here. So with successes, what I see written down here is awarded 2 grants for Cal Water and Homeland Security to improve communications and replication tools. So what he's actually talking about there with that improved communications is he bought a bunch of iPads, and they work in a similar way to the police department's mobile data terminals. There's a lot of software out there that gives us what we call a common operating picture in the emergency world. It's very difficult to put everybody on the same page. So as soon as we have an agency ship up a helicopter or a plane, we have live data updates inside of all of our vehicles now. So that's actually a really big deal. So that is a huge success for us. I'm glad that he put that in there. The extrication tools that he's talking about, he bought a couple of battery-powered, they're typically called the jaws of life, to put them into common terminology. They are smaller units, and they went on our airport crash rescue and on our Type 3 wildland engine. So that's what those are. And one of the things that I see here that I would like to add is that one of the biggest successes that I believe that we've had in the last several years is full integration and entering into a cooperative fire protection agreement with CAL FIRE. That was a huge step forward, so thank you. So moving forward with our fleet planning project is essentially, it goes back to, again, those mobile data terminals that we have in the engines, pre-planned for fire or emergency. What that allows us to do is go into buildings, pretty much every building in the city that could be any type of a threat, and add information that the company officers, again, can pull up as they're on their way to an emergency, again, improving that common operating picture through technology. So with the Butte County Water Rescue Team, we had kind of fallen off of that as the City of Oroville Fire Department. We are back into that. As we can see, there was a reason to have water rescue all the time, especially in the City of Oroville. We have floods, and we also have the river running right through the middle of our response area. So moving on from successes, if I could take the next slide, please, if you're already there. Okay, so this is just a breakdown of our total responses since we made the transition to CAL FIRE. As you can see, the number that's the most important to me in this is 5,089 total responses in 8 months. So that is significant. If you know anything about those types of numbers, last year the City of Oroville for 12 months in the last calendar year was right at 6,000 calls. We probably will go over 7,000 this year, which is significant in the sense that it is a single station running that many calls. That puts us, as far as I know, and this is not completely confirmed, but I know that this is pretty close, that would make us the busiest fire station north of downtown Sacramento in the state of California. And it is going to continue to get busier. And that's important for the next couple of slides. So could I have the next slide, please? Okay, so our challenges. With the amount of call volume that we put a very high strain on our apparatus and our equipment. And also right now, the ladder truck that we have in the City of Oroville is a 2001. It is high mileage, and it has been damaged in crashes multiple times. The reason that 20-year mark is important is as the NFPA, which is the National Fire Protection Agency, they set standards for fire apparatus and all equipment in the fire service. Now, their recommendations are not law, but they are what we are held to if we have OSHA investigate anything. So again, not law. That gets confused a lot. NFPA recommendations for fire apparatus are 10 years of frontline service, then a full remodel, and then to get retired at 15 years. So you can see we're well above that for the Lariat ladder truck. Our 2 frontline engines are 2008, so they have just hit that 15-year mark, and they also should be replaced per NFPA, and they are retired, and they are costing the city a lot of money in maintenance as they age out. Auto electrification equipment are, again, the other sets of jaws, not the ones that we just got on the green here. They are all very old too, and they are just about to age out. Storage for equipment, that bumps into what Chief LeGrone was saying. We have just kind of run out of room. We have the same police and fire facility. Both departments have grown. The city has grown. The station is the same size, and we have been tripping over each other for a long time. I've been there for 22 years, and Police and fire, we just keep getting bigger, we just keep bumping elbows. It's getting difficult for us to coexist there. And it's just a matter of space. We don't hate each other or anything. Okay, could I have the next slide, please? So our opportunities, obviously, the fire department is here to talk about apparatus and equipment today. We are really in dire need of new equipment, and we realize that it's very expensive, and it's not going to do anything but continue to get more and more expensive. The sooner that we can get this taken care of, the less money that it is going to cost the state. So the new engine, in the last month, I have been working very diligently as I am the apparatus and equipment manager to provide the city with a new fire engine specification. I got that done last week just to get everybody used to the types of numbers that we're talking about. In 2008, when we bought 2 new fire engines, they were $550 a piece. The fire engine now, the one that I just spec'd out, and it's not fancy, I promise, it's just a regular fire engine, is $965,000. That price will go up again this year. Later this year, it'll go up by at least 2%. So just to put that out there. The estimated price, I haven't actually built the ladder truck yet. I will start on that next week when I get back from vacation. I would estimate, and just to right around 2.2 to 2.3 million for that unit. Vehicle electrification, again, we do need to also upgrade our new jaws sets. Those are going to be, if we bought them today, around $65,000 per set. We need 3 of them to get properly outfitted. Water rescue equipment, our water rescue equipment also has not been updated in almost a decade. It is technically not even usable anymore, but that's what we have, so that's what we're using. That is also going to be, again, it's going to be very expensive. We understand that fire rescue equipment is really expensive. We don't set the prices, we just do the job. Oh, I guess that was it, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So that concludes the presentation for all departments. Thank you all very much. That was a lot of information to get through and right on time. So great job, everybody. Thank you.
Do we want to open for questions now, or?
I do have a question.
Okay.
Isaac, yes, can you ballpark that water rescue equipment?
Water rescue equipment, the last time that I talked to you about this, and again, I apologize, I think it was 70,000. Okay, that could be very long, but that's what I remember.
Thank you.
Robert, do you have a question?
Oh, no, I was touching.
Oh, okay. Any council members have a question before we move on?
I have lots of questions.
Yeah. I agree. I think we all
But
do.
you guys may not be able to answer. No, but are we going to eat first, or how are we going to do it?
Why don't we certainly do that? Grab the plates and then come back.
Okay.
Q&A.
Good idea. Thank you. Let's do that. Would please all adjourn to lunch. How's that? That make sense?
Good.
Let's do it.
He likes me.